because if that's all it is, I've got a very, very small area where I can actually get things to fall into. Normally I make it 2 blocks tall. So for the rest of it here, all I'm going to do is place the frame of it. I'm not actually going to fill all of those in because I don't need to. So let's go ahead and place these. And then from here, we'll place, these are inverted corners. And again, it just takes practice to get them to place properly, especially with some of these where you're rotating in 3-dimensional space. It can definitely be a pain. Sometimes you will have changed your orientation just enough that the axes you were rotating something on a moment ago is no longer the same axes that it is currently affecting when you're rotating it. That's okay. So let's see, one more here. And then once I'm done with this, then I'll show you my basically gravity-driven collection system. Now, you'll also notice here that as we look, these don't really look connected very well to the block above, and they're not, actually. The only ones where they're connected are over here and these here. But as long as they're connected in some manner, it's not just going to go flying off into space. Now, another thing to be aware of is the fact that when you're dealing with oh, my brain just stopped working. Oh, yes, stations. Stations are immovable. So once you place blocks as a station, they cannot be pushed and go flying. They're anchored in space. Honestly, obviously that's not true physics, but for the game, they're considered immovable. However, you can attach them to a ship or turn them into a ship later, and then they'll float freely around as you would expect a spaceship to do. So now that we've got this, there's a couple more things we're going to need to do. And that is where our ship is right here. I'm actually going to be removing this collector because I don't like this collector. There's a mod that has a different version of the collector that I prefer. It seems to work a little bit better, and it has more connection options. And it's really those connection options that I like. So, what I'm going to do is get this thing going, and let's see where I want to connect it first. The last time I did it right above the cargo container, and that seemed to do okay. I will obviously be removing these thrusters as well at some point. Well, maybe not obvious to you, but obvious to me. So what I'm going to do is go into my G key menu here, and you'll see there's all these things. Goodness, how do I pick what I want? Well, if you know what it's called, you can search. I'm looking for a collector, and you'll see there's the original collector, as well as this KC Advanced Collector, which is the one I'll be using, and then there's a smaller version of it that's only available on small ships. So I'm going to right-click to auto-place that down on my G menu, and then we're just going to place it right here. And it uses all of the exact same components that I just pulled off of the other collector. Now you notice in the picture that it shows these little conveyor connectors on the sides. That's what I like about this, is each side can be connected to something. With the original vanilla collector, you can only connect things to the bottom. Well, sometimes you can't connect things directly to the bottom because you need something else there, and you need to be able to attach into the side. So, that is what I will be doing. Now, I'm also going to need to put one row of these around here. Now, as I get over to this side, you'll see that there's a thruster here. Well, that's bad news, because that thruster will absolutely destroy anything that the flame goes through. So I'm actually going to go ahead and remove it right now. And that's because I'm not really going to be flying this ship very far, if at all, anymore. So here I can access the inventory of this collector, and if I drop something into it, it automatically goes into this storage container, which is down below it. So let's go ahead and finish pulling this off, and everything else, you also need to make sure that everything else is still connected to the ship. Otherwise, when you remove something, it'll go floating off into space. Now you see this block here, this light armor piece is connected to this light armor piece. So when this disappears, nothing should go flying off into space. That was one of the biggest problems when we first started playing this game, was if you broke the wrong block, your stuff would just go flying into space. And then you'd have to try to chase it down, while other stuff went flying off into space. The space chase simulator, I suppose. Alright, so let's get this, and one more of these inverted blocks. And again, I don't need to fill these, I don't need to completely build these in order for them to work. Again, you'll see there's the little gap, but as long as one of them is connected to the main structure, you're good. So right now, let's go get some energy, and then let's go ahead and move this so that it's right underneath that, the hole that we left in that other structure. So from here, what we need to do is, first off, we're going to need to slide over this way a little bit, and we're going to need to turn. And then once we get close enough there, we're going to need to rotate on this axis. And then all we have to do is line it up. And then you see that flame jetting up right here? Well, see, that is the problem with these large thrusters. So there's a lot of things that I'll be changing here. Let's go ahead and tip that some more. Move it forward. How are we looking? Over. Let's go up, and hopefully that's not going to destroy anything on the side there. Hopefully I'm over far enough. And I can get it really close. It's all about how much patience you have to get it exactly where you want it. Now there are some other ways that I could do some of these things, but I'm just going to go ahead and place that right there. And now we're ready to go. So at this point, there's a couple of things I can do. I can go ahead and turn on my gravity, right like that. Now you see my fuel time went down significantly. So as we come up here, remember this thing is set, I set it for 50-meter range. So as I fly up here, as I go a little bit further, eventually at 50 meters it stops. So that's the end of my gravity field. But there's another thing that kind of concerns me, and that's that if I'm digging out over here, it's not going to pull this stuff in the way I want it to. So there's two more things that we're going to do, one of which is we're going to place some more of these down around here. And this here will allow us to work in a larger area, which is very important. The larger the area you can work in, the better resource gathering you're going to have. And so now you can see that this one here actually goes inside the block, or inside the asteroid just a little bit. Not a big deal. That's just stone, and we'll have plenty of stone real soon. But there's one more thing that I want to do. And that is, right here, I am going to remove a block and replace it with something else. So I'm going to pull off this light armor here. And you remember how that one was that slope was connected to this, well, this is where I need to put something. So I need to make sure that when I do that, this doesn't go flying off. Well, that's pretty easy to do. I can just go ahead and place a couple of these here. In fact, just the one there is fine. And then from here, now I can go ahead and break this one. I say break as though, you know, I'm playing Minecraft and breaking a block. And then structurally, everything else is still where I want it. Now, the reason why I want to place something there is because gravity is kind of a fickle thing. If I break something somewhere and I'm using regular gravity, it's just going to fall straight down. Well, we also have a spherical gravity generator, and that's what I want to use right here. And it doesn't matter if I have it on the bottom or if I have it on, you know, the bottom of this one upside down technically, or on this one here. But I'm going to put it right here on the bottom of this storage container. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the all of the components from the other gravity generator, and I'm going to put them in here, because it's going to use the same materials, the same components, but it's going to affect gravity in a different way. So let's get to it. Now, right now, I don't have my my jetpack on, so if for some reason gravity goes away, uh-oh, now I'm floating. But it'll automatically turn your jetpack on, which is a very nice feature. You can turn it off. If I were to turn it off again right now, then it would stay off. And so we are almost done here. Let's go ahead and get this going. Now, one of the things with the spherical gravity generator is it's going to pull everything into the center, which means I'm not going to be able to just walk around like I would be if I was using a regular gravity generator at this time. However, what it will do is, rather than everything just falling straight down off of that asteroid, anything that misses my collection platform will actually be pulled into the innards of the ship here until I have enough resources that I can build a better platform with its own refinery and processing apparatus. And this automatically starts at maximum, well, not maximum size. I believe it's 150 meter radius or diameter. We'll find out here real quick. I always forget if it's diameter or radius. So let's go ahead and hop in our seat here. And now what we're going to do is go into our control panel, and let's go ahead and take a look at our gravity generator. So it's 150 meter radius. So it's 150 meters in every direction. Well, if you remember when I was flying around, I showed you where 50 meters was. 50 meters is still a good distance, but right now this thing is using 2.36 megawatts, which is almost 50% of the power produced by my one reactor. And I don't have anything else actively running except for a couple of trickles to my thrusters. That's bad. I've got 48 minutes of fuel right now. Well, one of the things we can do is we can go and say, hey, you know what? I think I only need, let's make it 100 meters. 100 meters should be plenty. Well, now we're down to 700 kilowatts. So that's a pretty good reduction. At the same time, I don't need a full 1G. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this down to, if we do 4.9, that puts us at half a G. And at that point now, we've still got 5 hours of fuel. We're only using 7%. So that is a much better use of our limited resources. And now we're going to go up here, and as long as these are lined up well enough, doesn't have to be perfectly straight, but you'll see that things should go basically straight down into there. And that's exactly what I want. So as I come up here and I hit this uranium here with my drill, we're going to see these pieces being pulled by that spherical gravity generator and going right down into the collector. From there they disappear, and they're already being processed in our refinery. And if we come down here, you can hear the refinery is on, and there's 303, I guess that's kilograms of uranium. Hey, that's pretty good. You'll see that for each, it looks like kilogram of uranium, we're getting less than 0.01 of a uranium ingot. It's very, very minuscule. So we started out, I think, with 2 kilograms of uranium ingots. So it's slowly going to be building that up. And as it does, then of course our current fuel level will last much longer. So at this point, all I really need to do is keep drilling the uranium here, and everything will be going down right into there where I want it to go. Welcome to gravity mining. I mean, I guess that's probably the best name for it. So I'll go ahead and I'll get the rest of this uranium here, and then we'll move on to some iron. Look at that. We've got iron right here on the other side. Now, if I go out too far,